There's another bullet in our cabinet, and that one came from that same direction. And that hits right in the corner. I found this one Christmas Eve. They came in here with the intent to kill him, and they did. And now they're trying to cover themselves.
This is a really thoughtfully constructed documentary. It does a great job at showing us the overarching problem of the mistreatment of Indigenous peoples throughout history, and peppered in with great archive footage, dating back over 100 years. Some really just interesting stuff to look at, but in a less broad sense, it zeroes in on the individual. I've only learned about Mah-hi-vist's story through this documentary, which I thought did a great job at telling that story and in humanizing the issue, while also still, again, touching on the overarching sort of broad issue at hand, but always going back to his story. The Savage Land rap was really interesting, kind of just reminded me of some old Soul Assassin style stuff. So that was cool. But the message here is an important one. So for that reason alone, I'm glad this one exists. Just anything to bring more attention to the issue is okay in my books. And overall, this is a really strong documentary, and they did a really great job piecing it together. And of course, condolences to Mah-hi-vist's family and to everyone suffering this plague of injustice.
So I just got finished watching Savage Land. I thought this piece was great. This is a film that is very personal. It's a very personal family story. There's just a ton of vulnerability in this film. Just a lot of very heart-wrenching stuff in this film. Moments that are really heartbreaking to see. It's brutally honest, and it's just extremely powerful. Just a very powerful film. This is a movie about police violence, and it's coming at a very relevant time. And I also think that this film is coming from a very knowledgeable and well-informed place. Overall, I thought this was just a great piece and a very well-crafted film.
Savage Land, a touching documentary that shows us how still nowadays police brutality is unfortunately up and running in the United States, but obviously the film doesn't stop to the United States. It also touches any other country in the world, and we see how people, just the discrimination just because somebody has got a different skin color or different background, they can be punished with that for absolutely having done nothing. This is as I was saying before, is touching, is very touching, is moving. It shows us that no matter what happens, there's still no matter what happened in the past, there's still a lot to do nowadays. And the way the family reacts to this horrible homicide, because that's what it is an homicide, is trying to figure out the truth, but then seeing that the police officer and everyone involved in this case not only has been released, not only has been cleared with all the from all the charges, but they also been awarded. That's one of the strongest parts of the film. Seeing the family, seeing the Goodblanket still trying to get their well-deserved justice, while on the other hand there is the police claiming. It is very powerful, that moment where there is the recording from the police officers who are during a phone call, claiming that something happened by mistake maybe, and now the people, just to feel better, they say that they must accuse somebody, they must find someone guilty, and now the guilty are the police, and that's another powerful moment. You see the difference. You see something that happened for real, and a family trying to get justice, and on the other hand, the police that are supposed to protect them saying like, well, we didn't do anything wrong. Is powerful storytelling. And what I really loved, it was the rap song about halfway into the movie. That's also something that touched me in the inside, and the words, especially the words from that song, are very powerful and really gets you moving. Like it's unbelievable how there's still things like that happening nowadays. The documentary itself was great. On top of all the storytelling, I loved how the documentary has been shot and then edited with all these series of B-rolls united with the interviews, and then obviously the various recordings and the voiceovers and the graphics as well, linking not only to what happened to in that day in 2013, but also to all the battles and the slaughters that has been part of America during the 17th, 18th, 19th century. So a very touching and powerful documentary. Well done.
This was a very interesting documentary. Savage Land shows how strongly these people are fighting to keep their culture, even through all the things that history has done to their people. I did learn some things like I didn't know there's still Native Americans being killed by police. I don't know if there's more to that story or not, but you could feel the parents' grief over it. The fact is, this was a very informational. It's a very informational documentary that goes well with what we're doing. I could see it as a PBS special or something on for an educational purpose to learn about Native Americans as it goes through their past and what they're currently going through. It's very comprehensive in that way, where we can continue to learn about them and what they're going through, so we can all continue to fight for living in peace with each other while respecting each other's cultures.
Thank you for Savage Land. This documentary involves so much of the intricate abuse and discrimination in USA history against Native people, especially Cherokee people. This just showcases the disregard for human life that has been such a traditional way of doing things in USA when it comes to specific population. And it's just sad to see how they have been involved in settling and resettling episodes, and just specifically heartbreaking to learn about the treason they did to Black Kettle and his people, just winning his trust and letting him camp and then killing them at night. That is just appalling. I didn't know about this, and I am heartbroken. It is outrageously enraging, and it's just how they were used to, or we are used to, taking their land, calling them savages, relocating them to more and more and more small spaces with no access to services. So back then the idea was that the pioneers could thrive. So we don't care about the savages, but we need the pioneers to bring civilization, and they need to be happy and comfortable. So why don't we move everyone else? It is just sad. I'm glad they decided to film this and talk about the Goodblanket family and all that happened during that 911 call and the tragic night their son was killed. It's just sad, and I hope they can seek some sort of closure. It was said they will never get justice, but at least some closure. And this type of showcasing their story makes this so much harder to happen again. Policemen should be held accountable when they use force that it's not necessary and inappropriate to the threat. And yeah, I hope much more people get to see this and understand when police is not abiding by their mission to protect and serve.
Savage Lands. I think that movies like this are so important. Stories like this need to be told because the way in which our country was founded and the way our history as a country all began to this day still dictates relations in this country. And I think a lot of people like to think that things are different or that the relations between the police or the government in general and the Native Americans are better, but they aren't. And I think that it's an important part of our history that needs to get highlighted, needs to get shown, because things need to change, obviously. And so stories like this are so important because it brings things to light, it brings things back to the forefront of people's minds and thoughts. And it's a heartbreaking movie to watch, but it's, like I said, I think it's so important to raise awareness and bring it to, the attention of everybody because that's what it deserves.